base villain! Have you no shame?
Hi, I'm your host, Mystical Blue, and welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. First things first, for those of you who are wondering who or what exactly is a Shining Knight, the name stands for a number of fictional superheroes who have made their appearances in comic books that DC Comics has published. Among all of them, the original Shining Knight is a creation of the celebrated comic book artist and illustrator Craig Flessel. In case you didn't know, the character made his debut in the 66th issue of Adventure Comics back in the year 1941. Well, this brings us to the main contents of today's video, where we'll not only explore the character's origins, but also delve deeper into his appearances both in the animated and the live action series. Please note that this will be an in-depth analysis of the character, so better be ready for this. Without any further ado, let's dive right into it, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The backstory of Sir Justin explored. We are looking at the 6th century. Sir Justin was on his way to Camelot, which, in case you didn't know, happened to be the seat of King Arthur's castle and court. Sir Justin desired to become a member of the Knights of the Round Table, and that is why he was en route to Camelot, when he chanced upon an old man who seemed to have put himself in a bit of a dangerous situation. With Sir Justin saving the old man, he realised that the latter was none other than Merlin, the renowned court magician of King Arthur. Merlin was so grateful that he altered Sir Justin's rusty armour into a magical one capable of protecting its wearer from any damage, and also enchanted his shield and sword, enabling the blade to cut through anything for that matter. That's not all. Merlin also gave Sir Justin's steed wings, giving the horse the power of flight. Bestowed with such gifts, Sir Justin very quickly gained a spot at the Round Table and became a member. He served pretty well, and everything worked in his favour till he was assigned to the icy mountains in the Northland to fight an ogre. Unfortunately, during the battle, Justin, along with his steed and the ogre, fell into an icy abyss and got buried deep underneath. Sir Justin did not die, but he remained frozen for more than 1300 years. It was in the year 1941 that Sir Justin's ice-covered yet still alive body and steed were discovered by a certain archaeologist and museum curator named Dr. Moresby. Of course, it was not easy for Sir Justin to adjust himself to his new environment. After all, the world was modern now, and the circumstances were quite different. Upon realising he had no other options but to adapt himself to the new world, Sir Justin continued fighting crime using his skills as a knight, and made up his mind to uphold justice and protect the innocent. Also, this is precisely when he took on the civilian alias of Justin Arthur and the moniker of Shining Knight. Eventually, he crossed paths with Vigilante, Green Arrow and Crimson Avenger, among other heroes, and together they formed the 7 Soldiers of Victory. Justin did so solely to become a part of something bigger. In fact, he also joined the superhero team All-Star Squadron later, and that's where he encountered Danette Riley, who was then known as Firebrand. No points for guessing that the duo fell in love, but Justin eventually returned to Britain to offer his services to the king and be the personal bodyguard of Sir Winston Churchill, especially during the Second World War. During the same time, a young man named Percy Sheldrake vowed to be Justin's sidekick, thereby taking up the name Squire after Justin saved his life. After the war ended, Merlin summoned Justin back to Camelot, but the latter made up his mind to be in the modern world upon realising that the new world needed him and his services more. But having said that, Justin would make recurring trips to Camelot and help out his fellow knights. Coming back to the 7 Soldiers of Victory, they once battled against the exceedingly powerful cosmic being Nebula Man. While they were successful in defeating him, the 7 were dispersed and lost in time. For instance, Justin was under Genghis Khan's reign, serving the Mongol Emperor. Had the Justice League and Justice Society not intervened and brought him back to the present, he would have still been in the era of Genghis Khan. While peering into his later life, we realise that the years were a bit harsh to him. He did not get to live his life with Firebrand, as she was killed by a villain known as the Dragon King. Speaking of Justin Squire, Percy had not only taken on the moniker of the Knight, but had also trained his own son to become the 2nd Squire. But as far as his son was concerned, he defamed the legacy. Coming back to Justin, he was amnesiac for a while, but eventually stepped up his game and settled the scores with the Dragon King. Also, so. During the events of Identity Crisis, Sir Justin as Shining Knight was seen aiding Captain Marvel, Firestorm, and Vixen. While battling out with Shadow Thief, the villain managed to steal the sword of Sir Justin and then use it to pierce Firestorm through the chest. Of course, it resulted in the tragic death of the young hero. Sir Justin was deeply affected by his death and held himself partially responsible. Honestly, he was never really seen after that incident.
This villain! Have you no shame?
Marvelous story arc of Shining Knight in Justice League Unlimited. A knight of immense value, honour and compassion, Sir Justin became a member of the extended Justice League after the Thanagarian invasion. We will begin with one of the most notable appearances of Shining Knight in the Justice League Unlimited animated series, for which we will be thoroughly exploring the 7th episode of the 3rd season of Justice League Unlimited. Patriot Act begins with a flashback. We are taken back to World War II and a German scientist is seen attempting to display his experimental super soldier serum, one that he plans to use to generate a powerful army of soldiers. However, his plans get foiled when the secret agent spy Smasher intervenes, and not only does he stop the human testing phase of the Captain Nancy super soldier serum, but also ends up escaping from there with the serum. Cut to the present. Project Cadmus, or should we say the secret division of the US government strictly committed towards countering the power of metahumans, has been disbanded, and of course General Wade Eiling has his reasons to be unhappy about it. Moving ahead with the storyline, he is seen having dinner with his former colleague Amanda Waller, who, mind you, has cushioned a lot in terms of her anti-Justice League attitude. Waller tries to make Eiling understand that they were lucky that despite aiding Lex Luthor in his plans to wipe out the world, they did not end up going to jail, but Eiling isn't happy about it. He still believes that the metahumans cannot be trusted, and the solitary fact that the Justice League continues to exist bothers him. To top things off, he also thinks that the Justice League did not demolish their space weapon or fusion cannon, in other words, so he makes up his mind to take matters in his own hand. Eiling makes his way back to Cadmus, steals the highly classified Captain Nancy enhancement chemical and jabs it into himself so as to protect the world from the Justice League. The serum transforms Eiling into a hideous looking monster with fangs and grey skin. He also amplifies in terms of his strength and immunity, and so, without wasting further time, he heads away to Metropolis to locate Superman. Speaking of the Justice League, it has been a busy day for them. While most of the members are out attending to disasters, there's just a bunch of them who make an appearance at the Metropolis parade. We are referring to the quintet of Green Arrow, Vigilante, Stargirl, Shining Knight, and Stripe. The monstrous Eiling makes a grand appearance at the parade and sends almost the entire crowd into panic mode. Even the quintet combined does not really stand a chance against the powerful Eiling, and the latter demands that Superman fights him. With Green Arrow calling for backup, Crimson Avenger and Speedy arrive there, but even they get knocked out. The only one standing happens to be Shining Knight, who lets Eiling know that Superman is almost a universe away, busy rescuing an entire star system, and further tells Eiling that he will not let him hurt another soul. Eiling tells Shining Knight that he does what he has to in service to his country, to which the latter tells him of a certain incident. Once, at King Arthur's word, the Shining Knight was ordered to lay waste to an entire village, but deep in his heart, he knew that his king would not be so unjust. Therefore, he ended up sparing the whole village. His story does not have an effect on Eiling, as he taunts the Shining Knight by calling him a lousy soldier. The duo engage in a battle, and Shining Knight carries on with his attempts to knock some sense into Eiling by continuing his story and telling him that the whole thing was a test, and that if he had not refused, he would have certainly handed over his sword and left the court in shame. The fight becomes intense, and Eiling effortlessly knocks down Shining Knight repeatedly, and he is just about to strike a final blow when the bystanders prevent him from doing so, telling him to drop his patriotic act. An elderly woman asks Eiling if he actually believes that killing Superman or Shining Knight will make the world safe. Eiling tells the parade spectators that he is after the metahumans and not the humans, and also addresses the metahumans as a menace and superpowered beings. That's when a young boy reminds Eiling that he is the only one around there with superpowers. Eiling realizes that he has become what he hates, and agrees with the humans, but also tells them that in the long run they will realize that he was right and that they would need him to protect them from the metahumans. After that, Eiling leaves, jumping from one building to the other. The episode ends with the battered and bruised remaining members of the Justice League being admired for their efforts. That was the story of Patriotic Act. Please note that the character of Shining Knight has made a number of appearances in several other episodes of the animated series. Some of them are Initiation, The Greatest Story Never Told, Dark Heart, Task Force X, Divided We Fall, and Destroyer. Shining Knight in Stargirl TV series. Every version is tweaked in its own way, and that is what makes things so interesting. The Stargirl television series delves deeper into Justin's past life, the age of the knights and dragons, how Justin worked as a young helper at the stables in Camelot, how it was King Arthur who gave him his legendary sword, Excalibur, and told him to handle it with honor and grace.
Yet King Arthur himself bestowed to me his sword.
It was later that Justin crossed paths with Star-Spangled Kid and Stripesy and soon established the Seven Soldiers of Victory. Justin was particularly very fond of Stripesy and they developed a strong bond with each other. It was in the 1990s that the Seven Soldiers crossed paths with Shiro Ito, who is more popularly known as Dragon King. King had built this living weapon with plans of destroying New York, but before he could set his plane into motion, he was stopped by the Seven Soldiers. After that, King retreated into hiding, but Justin was hell-bent on destroying King and followed him to the small town of Blue Valley in Nebraska. Justin wasn't a match for King, and the latter not only had him captured but also had his memory erased and identity altered, reducing him to the life of a janitor at Blue Valley High School. As a janitor, Justin was quiet, mostly kept to himself, and also quite mysterious to an extent. He seemed to have his eye on Courtney Whitmore, aka Stargirl. Justin either spoke in riddles or old dialects.
Careful. There are dragons in the water.
He was also brave enough to rescue Stargirl, and here we would like to stress on the fact that he literally had to go against Shiv to do that. For those of you who are wondering who Shiv is, well, say hello to the daughter of Dragon King, as well as the nemesis of Stargirl. Anyway, coming back to the storyline, it was when he rescued Stargirl that something sparked in his mind, and the effects of amnesia began to wear off. He was reminded of what his life was before he came to Blue Valley, and that led him to embark on a journey to look for Stripesy. It was via Stripesy that Justin could recall who he truly was, the Shining Knight, the former leader of the Seven Soldiers and the possessor of the Excalibur. Eventually, he becomes an ally of the Justice Society and helps them in thwarting the sinister plans of the Injustice Society of America. Essayed by the English actor Mark Ashworth, Justin appeared as the middle-aged guy, someone who is quite unpleasant to look at, with the unkempt long, grey and brown beard all over his face. He doesn't have much hair on his head and is seen donning this dull grey cap. He is mostly seen in a green school janitor employee uniform, which is basically a jumpsuit. As the Shining Knight, he is the opposite. He is quite well groomed, dons a knight's armour, and hardly has any facial hair.
Why don't you give up?
Why don't you?
What makes the Shining Knight a powerful knight? Actually, it's pretty simple. It's his leadership quality, his swordsmanship, and the fact that he rides on a horse that can actually fly. To take things to the next level, he's even seen donning a magical armour, one that will protect the wearer from any damage. What more does a knight need? Well, with this, we finally come to the end of our video here. Do hit us with your thoughts in the comment section and let us know what you like the most about the character of Shining Knight. Also, stay tuned with us for more exciting content. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.